Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here for my June wrap up, and I'm working on speeding these up because apparently I can't read less than 10 books in a month. And I thought this was a slow reading month for me until I just went through and tallied everything. So I'm gonna try and be really efficient with this and give you like a very brief synopsis and a very brief summary of my thoughts and then move on. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the 11 books that I read. That's so many books. How am I reading this many books when I thought that I kind of went in a reading slump? Apparently I didn't. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Here are the books. The first book that I listened to this month is Ruined by Amy Tintera, and I was kind of intrigued going into this, but I'm gonna be honest, I kind of was disappointed in this book. This is a very stereotypical trope that I'm starting to see in YA fantasy. It's kind of the stereotypical girl is wronged for something that she can't help, so she needs to infiltrate the royal family to redeem her type or her kind. That's very vague, but it's kind of the same synopsis as like Red Queen, and I've seen a lot of other YA fantasy go in this direction, but I pretty much just kept thinking that this was Red Queen all over again. This is about a girl who was born as a ruined, and ruined are people from a country or a territory called Ruina, and don't get me started on that. That was a whew, yeah. And these people generally are born with kind of superpower type things, like they have special abilities, and our main character of course is the special snowflake and does not have any of these abilities, but her family was like brutally murdered and stolen from her, so she needs to go into that other rivaling territory and marry into the royal family to infiltrate them from the inside out. So it kind of has all of those stereotypical fantasy tropes of like disguising herself as somebody else and dealing with issues. I personally didn't click with this story just because I think it's been done over and over again and nothing about it stood out enough to like make me push it as like the one good story like that. So I gave this 2 stars. I followed that book up with an amazing book. I read The First Time She Drowned by Carrie Clutter. Okay, this book, it's a matchup between this book and another book for like my favorite of the month, and it's going on like my favorite of 2016 list for the year. This book broke me. I have not been so emotionally drained from reading a book in years. I kept talking to Jen about this. This book is reminiscent of A Child Called It. If you ever had to read that book, where that book is physically abusive, this book is emotionally abusive. It just deals with so many hard topics, and I read this in one sitting and I needed to go cuddle some puppies and sip some milkshakes because this was so hard to read, but it was so good. If I could push one like heavy read on you people, it would be this book. Just read this book. It's about a girl who has some really messed up family issues, and like her relationship with her mom is extremely abusive and just weird and wrong, and it's just about her checking herself out of the mental facility that her mom put her in, regardless of if she actually needed treatment or not, and trying to live a normal life but still kind of backtracking. It was just breathtaking and just it was so good. This book was a combination of A Child Called It and Challenger Deep. That's how I'm going to describe this book. And those are 2 huge books in my life of reading that I will always kind of tell people about, so that's giving this book some high praise. So 5 stars all the way. The next 2 books that I want to talk about, I kind of read in May and I kind of read in June. My review for them went up in June. That is the Kindling Flames first 2 books in this series, Gathering Tinder and Flying Sparks. They are the first 2 books by Julie Wetzel in a kind of new adult vampire paranormal romance series that I absolutely loved, and I already gushed about them in the review videos, so I'm not going to do that here. I will leave it linked down below if you want to hear my thoughts on these, but I really liked these. I received these as part of the Love and Den Books booktube tours, and I could not have been more excited to get these books. The next book that I read is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, and this is my second Morgan Matson book. I just read Since You've Been Gone like a month or 2 ago, and just like that one, this is the perfect start of summer read. If you're looking for that like contemporary to kick off your summer reading, because everybody reads contemporaries in summer, this is the way to go. This just puts you in the perfect summer mood. It's about a girl whose father is a congressman who is going through some like drama in his line of work, and it kind of flips her world upside down. It takes her off the track that she thinks she's going on, and she starts a dog walking business, and it was just adorable. Morgan Matson is up there with Sarah Dessen in my book as far as contemporary writers go, because it's so well-rounded. She always balances family with friendship with relationships. Like, most YA contemporary focuses a lot on the romance and the relationship with a guy. Her books are always, like, very equal as far as, like, friendship and family goes with the guy. I just really like that. It's a very wholesome experience. So I gave this 3 stars. It's the cliche summer read. I'm gonna highly recommend this if you're looking to get into your summer reading mode. The next book that I read, I don't know if I'm gonna classify it as, like, a book that I read, but it's still going in my count here, and that is Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. I've been seeing people read this book for so long, and I just kind of was wandering around the bookstore one night, and I just felt like I needed to pick something up, and this happened to be what I picked up because I've heard so much praise about it. I started reading in the store, and it was awesome, so I bought it. Now, this book is a whole bunch of, like, cartoon pictures and miscellaneous stories. This is very reminiscent of Jenny Lawson if you've liked Furiously Happy or Let's Pretend This Never Happened. This is up there with it. It's very similar in that every single chapter is just kind of a short story retelling of something that happened in her childhood or in her life, blended in with some mental illness stories that are really hard-hitting, in between you, like, dying laughing. So I started reading this on a night that I was, like, stupid tired, and it happened to be, like, the perfect mindset to read this because I literally was crying laughing. Like, I was eating trail mix. I had to stop because I was choking on the trail mix because I was laughing so hard at this. So I'm gonna recommend this if you ever need a pick-me-up. It's totally worth the price of this book just to look at the wonderful, wonderful artwork that is in this. It's all stick figures, in case you're curious. The next book that I read is If I Was Your Girl, and this is by Meredith Russo. This book blew me away. I was very intrigued by this because it's kind of touching on a topic that the LGBT community has not touched on yet in the YA book community. This is a story about a transgender girl, and I mainly was intrigued because the production of this book was so well done. The author is trans, the main character in the book is trans, the model on the cover is trans, the narrator of the audiobook is trans. Everything about this was just so trans positive, and I loved it. This book, I think, is the stepping stone that community needed to get into the YA book culture, because while it was done very, very well, it was a very cliche story. I gave it 4 stars. It's an excellent read. I flew through it in like a day and a half. But it did gloss over a lot of the harder issues that trans people have to deal with, so I would like to actually see the author come out with more that would kind of cover a lot of the stuff, because this girl is very clean cut. She didn't really deal with that many issues or that many obstacles that she had to get through to get to the point she was at. That being said, I think it was an excellent example of a role model that teens who are going through something similar can look up to and can relate to. So for that reason, I gave it 4 stars. I highly recommend this. It's definitely something that needs to be written about and read about, so definitely check out this book. Next book I got to was this one. I know I'm a little late on this bandwagon because this came out last month, but I just finally got around to reading it. I can't even. I have lost my ability to even. Okay, this book was like pure sex. This was so damn good. I can't even. I can't even. That's the status I'm at. I'm at like basic white girl status with this book. I haven't even formed my thoughts on it yet. I am not ready for this to be over. I have already picked it up and started rereading it because I'm going through withdrawal from Prythian. I'm not going to say anything about it because it would spoil a lot of A Court in Thorns and Roses if you haven't read it. But this is up there with The First Time She Drowned as far as like my 5-book best book of the month status. It's so long until the next one comes out. We don't even have a title for it yet, let alone like a cover or release date. Right now the release date on Goodreads says May the 4th, which is Star Wars Day, so that would be great. Can't even. The next book that I got to is With Malice, and this is by Eileen Cook. This was a very quick, one-sitting, suspenseful YA thriller read. This is about a girl who wakes up in a hospital and has no recollection of what has happened to her, which is always a great start to a book. I love books that start that way. But she pretty much found out that she was in a car accident with her best friend. Her best friend did not make it out of the car accident. And this car accident happened while they were abroad in Italy on like a student study program. And she is being accused of murder of her best friend, yet she doesn't recall any of the trip and any of like the month before. She's missing like a solid month and a half of her memory. So she's dealing with constant media bashing her that she is like this friend who killed her best friend and having to try and figure out what actually happened. I gave this 3 stars. It wasn't like outstandingly original to me. There were definitely a bunch of options that could have been like the resolution or the like actual climactic moment. How it ended is how I wanted it to end, and that's all I'm gonna say, but I really like when authors do that. That's all I'm gonna say. So I gave this 3 stars. It was a solid, like, one sitting suspenseful read. That's it. The next book I got to is The Girls by Emma Cline. This is an adult fiction read based loosely on the Manson murders, which I didn't know much about going in. Before I started, I kind of read up on it to like jog my memory and make sure I kind of like knew what I was reading about, because this is like a fictionalized version of it. It was very gritty. It was very dark and dank, but it fit the time period and it fit the culture of the Manson ranches very well. I gave this 3 stars. I wasn't dying to get back to reading it every time I stopped, mainly because of the content. It's not really easy to read about. So yeah, this was a solid 3-star read for me. The writing is gorgeous though. It has very fantastic imagery and descriptions, so that alone should sell you on the book, because there are quotes from this book that I actually wrote down, which is rare for me. So this was a 3-star read for me. And the last book that I got to this month is The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh. This is the sequel and final book in the Wrath and the Dawn duology. I was kind of disappointed in this book. I loved The Wrath and the Dawn so much, and I was so looking forward to this, and I was really, really into the first half of it. For some reason, the second half of this book just, like, lost me. I don't know, I lost interest in it to the point where I actually ended up putting it down and having to pick it up later again. I mean, it was a satisfying ending, but I feel like Renee Ahdieh is very good at extremely atmospheric imagery and description writing, which is really good for setting the tone, but when we get to the actual, like, climactic moments, I don't think that it was paced well enough, because in YA, the, like, climax at the end of a really big series is, like, really fast-paced and stuff is happening. That one did this, but to the point where I actually had to like back up because I felt like I was missing things, but at the same time she was still like describing the room that she was being held hostage in for like an entire page, and then like a paragraph would go by and something huge would have happened that I completely missed. So for that reason, I gave this 3 stars, which was really disappointing for me because I really wanted to like it. I still love The Wrath and the Dawn and will always recommend it to people. I really liked the scene with Arten. I liked that whole thing, so I'm not going to give spoilers, but I really liked that scene. So this, unfortunately, was only 3 stars for me. Whew, and that's everything that I got to this month. I tried to keep this under 15 minutes. So far, I'm kind of succeeding. So that's everything I read in the month of June. What did you guys read? You guys are finally starting to talk to me in the comments, so please let me know what you read, because I really like talking to you guys. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys are reading some amazing books, and I will see you guys in my next video.